r/AskReddit. What is your biggest most recent you miss 100% of the shots you don't take moment? 2 years ago, I applied to a super competitive master's program. I didn't have the grades or anything, but took a chance. Ended up getting in after being placed in the waitlist. I graduated and I'm now preparing for my boards. Anything is possible. During my 2L year of law school, I went to a lunch meeting in a classroom with probably 120 seats available and only 10 occupied. There was a really beautiful brunette sitting in the very back row alone. While it would have potentially seemed really weird to sit right next to her, I decided to give it a shot in the off chance she might end up interested in me. We started talking, introduced each other, and ended up grabbing lunch. 2 years later, I'm looking at engagement rings for that same beautiful brunette. My biggest was when I saw this cute girl at a resort bar in the Florida Keys. I wedged myself in next to her to order a drink and started a conversation. We're married 26 years as of earlier this month. Any more recent shots pale in comparison. Stuck in a dead-end office job. Brain was rotting away. Career was falling apart. Aspirations for life growing dimmer. Applied to over 800 jobs that I weren't qualified for over the course of almost 2 years and eventually made it into a prestigious career path in consulting. Used 2 years of consulting experience to get into a hyper-growth tech company and doubled my salary. I went from glorified data entry making less than I would have made at a supermarket to well above 6 figures at a hyper-growth tech company just because I never gave up trying to get out of my shitty dead-end job, and I saw a lot of people who had given up. There were people getting their 10-year-long service leaves in that role. My biggest is when I let my current husband slip through my hands when I was 17. We reconnected 10 years later. For the last few years, me and my son have been planning our own business. He's 11 years old, so it, naturally, is focused all around candy. Last March I was laid off and sent home with a few months severance. In that time we have finalized our business plan, obtained funding, and on Wednesday we are meeting our landlord for the keys to our next store space. It's a dream all of us, wife, daughter, son and I have had since he was in first grade. It's named after him and now we're going to do it. Nervous as all hell, but we're taking a shot. Edit. A few people have asked, so the name of our business is Sweet and Sawyer's Ice Cream and Candy Shop, sweetandsawyer.com. Sawyer is my son and we're based in Fort Worth, Texas. Still working out the kinks of our website, so if anyone visits us, please be gentle. Asked my crush for a date. She said yes. I had a really sore neck and asked my wife to rub it for me and she did. Late as heck to the party, but here is mine. Loved my job, the people I assisted, my co-workers, and its ability to give me purpose. Although after slaving away with no breaks, barely using the restroom, putting up numbers they have never seen before, I found out the front desk staff were making more than I was all around, and was given a 3% raise prior as it just wasn't in the budget. I found the budget as I know everyone there. They made $4.5 million in share profit in the last 12 months. I was done. Started looking for jobs at work, taking full lunches, leaving on time, and coming in at my scheduled time. I'm currently sitting in a hotel room awaiting my first day of working on the railroad. I've passed all of my in-class tests, and tomorrow is my first day of on-the-job training. Triple the pay, full benefits for my family, retirement package that's just shocking, etc. TLDR. Fucking get yours, ladies and gentlemen. My GF and I have a year met because I was buying jeans and she was helping me find a fit. I asked her out to dinner and now we are hopelessly in love together. I don't know about biggest, but I got a lot of losing lottery tickets. Worked up the guts to let my employer know I need more time off work to take care of a family member. I'm really non-confrontational, so I was really worried about it. Currently watching baseball with my dad at home. My puppy has adopted the yucky habit of hunting cicadas outside and bringing their corpses in to leave on the bed. One morning, when I was making the bed, I discovered one she had brought in during the night. I flicked it in the direction of the trash can and it went in perfectly. I don't have proof, but it is my contention that I made the shot from well behind the Cicada basketball 3-point line. I was on a cruise ship and had made a group of friends for the week. There was one woman who was obviously into the kinkier stuff in the bedroom. One night when we were in the club on the ship, she just said, "I'd really like to have sex with someone tonight." After 30 seconds of silence I said, "I'll have sex with you." It was one of the best sexual experiences I've ever had. Edit. This lady had no problem getting nude in front of everyone. Constantly. She was 100% out of my league, so when she said, "I really want to have sex with someone," I was expecting another person in the group to swoop in. But after 30 seconds, and the fact that I had the unlimited beer package, I took my shot. I got a lot of high fives for the rest of the week. We didn't really speak to each other for the rest of the cruise. But it wasn't in an awkward way. It was awesome. I'm a brand new indie comic maker. So it was going around to all the local shops the other day and trying to get my first issue on their shelves. So far I'm 3/3. Was feeling down about getting rejected from all the jobs I applied for and an assistantship I applied for. Didn't want to bother applying to grad school, fearing I would get rejected as well. I got rejected from the first 2 schools I applied for, but got accepted into the school that ultimately was my first choice. Went hiking with co-workers up an incredibly hard hike in Colorado, and I brought a ton of water because I'm too hydrated, and it was at 6 AM so I had day old makeup on and I looked rough. Plus hiking. So anyways, I saw this guy and his friends going up and he was wearing pineapple shorts, and my first thought was, I'm gonna talk to this guy by the end of this hike. On the bright side, I noticed he brought a wimpy water bottle that was almost empty, and I took the opportunity to ask him if he wanted more water because I have a shit ton. We talked the entire way up the hike and I left my co-workers to talk with him. By the end he asked for my number and we FaceTime every night because he lives in another city and I work 2 jobs and I'm a single mom, so when we have the time then we go on dates. So far it's amazing and we click amazingly. TLDR went on a hike with day old makeup and a guy still asked for my number and things are going swell. I was a lazy nerd who thought he knew better than everyone else. And messed up my grades badly. As a result had to repeat my senior year in high school. All my friends moved on. And I was stuck with a bunch of new kids for my second senior year. One of them was a cute girl. And we started dating. We've been together for over 20 years. 10 of which married. We have traveled all over the world together. And have 2 great kids. Failing my senior year really felt bad at the time. But it turns out it set me on a great path in life. It was a shot I didn't want to take. But great things happened as a result of it. Blueberry Muffin Girl. I was fresh out of a 3-year relationship that ended really badly. Sitting at my favorite coffee shop. At the bar by the pickup counter. This absolutely beautiful girl came up to pick up a muffin. And I, being the dork I am, said it looked really good. She smiled and said it was. And how she couldn't believe I hadn't tried it before. And offered me a bite. I took it and said thank you. It was really good. I of course had eaten several before. I was just making conversation. After that she sort of just kept looking at me while she smiled. Giving me this look that said, "Keep talking to me." I completely froze. Not saying anything. She said, "Well, have a nice day." And walked back to the back of the shop to sit with her friends. Still kicking myself in the ass about that one. But I just wasn't ready to talk to a girl so soon after the painful ending to my previous relationship. I went to an otherwise sad party in late 2009 where I met the amazingly hot girlfriend of a bulky 6'4" amateur wrestler. I am a slender 5'9". Got wasted. Complimented her in front of her pissed off boyfriend. Talked to her all night. Drunkenly asked her to read a sci-fi short story I had been working on. Got her approval on a Facebook friend request. And then we started dating a year later. We've been married for 7 years. She just read this before posting and said, "Oh, I love you. Life is good." Asked for a raise not long after being employed at my first job. Succeeded. Still got paid less than I deserved, lol. I recently knew I had a good idea but was meeting resistance from my manager. I skipped her and went to my VP. GM was out for a few weeks. This has taken off more than I expected and I'm now leading a team to come up with how we can implement my idea in North America. We are also trying to figure out how to influence a global change. When this started to grow, my GM said, wow, you realize this will completely change how the entire company does business, right? My biggest, not most recent, was when I got rejected from the nursing program at my local university. Wasn't good enough for nursing, which is very competitive to get into. But they offered me a spot in the Faculty of Science. I was going to decline. My husband encouraged me to use the opportunity to work towards my lifelong dream. So we scrounged up the deposits to secure my spot, and despite having a couple of very young kids at home, I threw myself into full-time studies and earned really good grades from the get-go. This spring I graduated from medical school and I'm currently having an absolute blast in residency. Wasn't good enough for nursing, but I'm a pretty decent doctor so far. My friend and I try and see how much free food we can get just by asking. We went to a local burrito place. My friend bet $100 I couldn't get the dude in front of me's burrito. I asked him right as they handed him his burrito if I could have it. He turned around. I asked, and you won't believe it, he told me to fuck off. First time at a casino ever. Been staying in Monaco, so decided to try the Monte Carlo casino. Spent 3 hours losing the €50 I budgeted for myself completely at the roulette table. Took out another €50 and lost €25 of that before calling it a day and decided it wasn't my day. As I'm walking out to leave, I see that the blackjack table, the only card game I'm good at, had a free seat. Say fuck it and put my last €25 into a game that had a minimum hand of €25. Win the first game. Win the second. Win the third. I don't stop winning. I win all my money back. Plus an extra €250. I counted myself lucky and called it a day. Don't gamble. It's not just quitting when you're ahead. It's almost harder to quit whilst you're down. Winning money back isn't easy once you're losing. Told one of my high school friends I had feelings for her. Got the okay and we haven't talked since. At age 28 I am selling my house, getting an apartment next to campus, and pursuing a degree while working full-time. School starts in 3 weeks. We'll see how it goes. Applied for a position at my new company that my previous employer told me I was unqualified for and lacked the degree that they'd want ever for someone in that position. Not only did I get the position, but I'm currently single-handedly building the department and I'm in talks with one of the owners for a special project for him that will make or break my position with this company. I'm absolutely scared shitless, but thus far I'm seeing a lot of success within this title. Every time I get nervous I call my dad and he reminds me that everyone had to learn what I'm doing at some point. No one is born with the knowledge. Worst case scenario, I don't immediately advance. Best case scenario, in 6 months I'm the head of this department. Went 2 hours out for a Tinder date that I figured probably nothing would happen. I had written off dating and was just going to focus on myself. We have been dating for 18 months now. Looking at apartments. I can think of 2. First, it was pouring and I already took my pants off. Bra was still on. Important fact. But I felt bad cause I had confirmed plans with this guy earlier in the day. I figured what the fuck. Worst case scenario, it's free sushi. So I put my pants back on and left my house. I've been with him for almost a year now. Second, 6 months ago I was called into my boss's office and the regional manager basically told me it was quit, make more sales, or get fired. I told them I was going to try really hard to get my numbers up. On the drive home I cried. Just intensely sobbed for the full hour and a half. I cried when I got home. I cried myself to sleep. My amazing boyfriend told me it wasn't worth it and I could just up my hours at my mall job. So the next day I sent my resignation email to my boss. Within a week I got another job paying me way more money. It's been 7 months and I can't believe I stayed with that company so long. Fuck you, Comcast. I'm doing so amazing right now, and in the last 7 months almost the entire staff has left my old job. Edit. For you dudes out there. If the bra is off, I'm not leaving the house unless it's for an emergency. I broke my shoelace from a very expensive shoe. I contacted customer support asking if they sold the laces separately. The lovely person sent me a pair of shoelaces with a thank you note. Will 100% buy all of my shoes there. I had my eyes on a guy who was a grade above me in high school for 3 freaking years. But I never talked to him because I just like to admire from afar. My junior year, his senior year, I finally decided to act on my feelings and asked him to my junior prom. We got to know each other and shortly after he asked me to be his girlfriend. It was a short-lived relationship of 3 months or so. But it's one of my most memorable ones and something that probably never would have even happened had I not gotten the courage to ask him to junior prom. I still think of him and look back at those times with fondness. I was on OkCupid back in 2010. I browsed for months, never messaging anyone. One day I saw a cute girl with quite a few similar interests and messaged her. It turns out, I hadn't checked my email in a while and she had messaged me 2 days earlier. We had a good laugh about that. And this October is our 6th anniversary. On a school trip to the local community college for their business leadership day, I signed up for every single test, they had prizes, and ended up winning a full ride scholarship despite only having 1 stroke to a year of accounting under my belt. Saw a cute girl freshman year of college. And it was raining. So I offered to share with her my umbrella outside our dorm. We walked through a park together. 7 years later we started dating. And we're engaged now. Saw James Acaster at the airport today. Wanted to just quickly tell him I liked his Netflix special and have a good day, but I froze up. Beat myself up about it for the rest of the day. I've been an after-school program counselor for 3 years. My hours are very minimal and only during the school year. I've been wanting to get a second job for years but was reluctant because I was terrified of interviews. I saw a posting for a part-time sales associate at my local mall. They were looking for someone who spoke my language. I went in on a whim, handed the store manager my resume, and was immediately given an application to fill out. The store manager was giving me an on-the-spot informal interview to low-key judge if I was a good fit. I had no prior retail experience, so he was very iffy about that. Anxiety flooded me as I was filling out the application, and for the rest of the day, I got a call back a week later for a formal interview. In less than 2 weeks I was working decent hours. This job literally tripled my income. And I'm so happy with my position and co-workers. Others have tried to apply after me. And I noticed that my manager only gives applications to candidates he sees major potential in. Oh man. The other day, a teenager guy, was on the train. By myself. Coming home from work. These 2 girls my age started flirting with me and asked for my number. Being the socially inept idiot that I am, I stalled until the train ride was over. They were not from around my town, but I still should have at least given them my number. I just didn't know how to respond to the girls, as no girl my age ever showed romantic interest in me before. Took an internship 1,600 miles away from home in a city with no family that I've never been to. Well, I'm about to get published. Applying for one of those fancy air traffic controller jobs that pay 6 figures and don't require a college degree. The bid is still open for a few days. They will hire anyone. Check out RATC for more info. Said a woman sitting on the floor drawing in my student center looked cute for a homeless person. Now we're getting married. Was gaming online with some buddies. There was one random player that was playing well, so I decided to ask if he wanted to join our group. He did. A couple years later and we're engaged and living together. Playing Fallout 3, and instead of closing on my last attempt to try again, I risked it and unlocked it. A few years ago I was in a basketball league and I had a clear open shot but passed it instead. Called an old buddy of mine in LA about a job. Unhappy with where I currently am. Ask and you shall receive, I suppose. I am moving 3,000 miles away for an excellent job with an excellent company. I said that very thing to one of my music students who was nervous about going ahead with his first solo piano recital. It reminded me of when I was shy about playing my first recital. 2. And I was told, remember, the tortoise never makes progress until it sticks its neck out. I sent a friend request to my high school ex on Facebook. We're getting married in May. Met a girl at a festival. She was ready for sexy time. I was too stoned to just ask her back to my tent. Instead I made up an excuse to leave and told her to wait there. I never came back. Why am I like this? As an indie game developer, it's totally worth reaching out to the press, companies, advertising on Reddit and other websites. No one can see your game if you don't share anything. So take these shots. Share your work and show what you've worked on to as many people as possible. I got shot down so far, but also gained some followers that really enjoy my work. I take that as a win. And at least I tried. So many women that I could have been with if I had just gone for it. Once I asked my mom if we could order pizza and she said yes. Left my comfy job to take a new job for more money. It ended up being a complete nightmare and nothing like it was supposed to be. My previous employer wanted me to come back and gave me a $4 hour raise to make sure I wouldn't want to leave again. Weird how things worked out. But I'm glad I took the initial risk. Life. I found a way. This guy asked me out to a concert. I 100% would have said no if I wasn't with my friends who basically told him yes for me via text. Been together almost 8 years. Married 4 months. Ah well. Nobody will read this now cause this thread is old. Pretty small as well, so I might as well share. I'm 15. Turning 16 soon. And asked this girl out. She said that she was hoping I would ask. We went and got lunch together and it was great. Yesterday she came over and we kissed. First kiss baby, let's go. Woohoo, gonna be riding that high for at least a week. Spent my last $1,500 on a plane ticket to Alaska and my first month's rent and a 1990 Subaru Loyal Beta. I had set up a job interview with a guy, but he only took Alaskan residents as workers, so I moved there. I ended up making a career out of it. There was this girl that I kind of fancied for a while from high school, a few years ago. And then one day just decided to talk to her and whatnot. Got into a great rolling conversation that lasted days. And I did end up bragging about my banana bread. That led to her wanting to come over to see if it was that good. And we just hit it off even better in person and she liked my banana bread and we've been dating for almost 9 months now. I had met a very hot girl, who I'd easily qualify out of my league, a few months back. Recently we chatted and I decided to get her a date and she agreed. 3 dates in we were bumping uglies like our lives depended on it. I assume most of the replies will be of the same nature, but this was mine. Still can't believe my luck. I was playing Cards Against Humanity. I played the A Sweaty Panting Leather Daddy card. It ended up unexpectedly winning me the game considering the person was super straight edge and hadn't laughed all night. Girl asked me to buy her some alcohol at a grocery store in spring this year. I was 21, she's 20. Bought it for her. Was with a friend who still hasn't kissed a girl, so I decided to ask for her number before we split ways. Both cause she was attractive and to set an example, I guess. Turns out we are very similar with music tastes and sex drives. So now I have a FWB down in college. Hope that answers it, I guess, lol. Most recent was I had a crush and she was tweeting a lot of sad things. She may have mental health issues, and I messaged her on Twitter but she deactivated. Looked her up on IG and slid in her DMs. Told her if she wanted to talk to someone I could listen because I am going through the same things. She was happy that I messaged her. She actually had a crush on me but never got to talk to me. It's a nice feeling to have. I've got a bunch of these. Decided to start my own car race team. 5 years later. Won the championship. Taught myself mechanical engineering in the process. Used that to get a job as a racing engineer. Used that experience to write a book. Went back to the army so I could go to Afghanistan. After I got back, decided to finish the education that I screwed up when I was a 20-year-old idiot. Got accepted to my former school. Graduated nearly 29 years after I first started. Set a record for longest flash to bang in RMC history. The biggest obstacle to success is apathy. First time I asked my crush. Hyped by my friends. It took me like 3 weeks to convince myself. She said no because she sees me as a brother or a really good friend. First friend zone in my life. Talked with her since then, but the dynamic between us have turned drastically. We could talk for hours over some minor things. But now we could not keep a conversation for more than 15 minutes with a huge okay ending it. Conclusion. You miss a whole lot of times when you shoot too. I don't think I understand the question. But I think I get the gist. I didn't even think I'd get an interview for an internship. I applied anyway and got the thing. It was a horrible fit, but hey, I tried. Also, working with animals damn near made me hate animals. And I tend to bond with animals within days. I think the people that were around me contributed to the issue with it being a bad fit, but it was mostly because of me. That's fine, I can have my own pets and teach us something. My girlfriend met a guy at her work who is opening a coffee shop. I worked for several years in the specialty coffee industry and have a lot of good connections. But just moved to a new town for university and I'm out of the industry for now. Anyways, she got his contact information and he wanted me to contact him, so I did. We talked quite a bit about what he is trying to do and I find out he has some very shady dude trying to get all up in his business. Literally. But since this guy is very new to coffee, he had no idea what certain quality and business practices this roaster lacked. So I used some connections and set him up with a fantastic roaster an hour away where the current US roasting champion is actually the director of coffee. Long story short, he switched to the nice place. Bought a ton of nice equipment, Unix Stella Decaf 2, Mythos Klima 1, and now wants me to run all of the coffee at his shop. If I had just told him good luck when he mentioned the roaster he was using, he would have moved forward with awful equipment and bad coffee. Instead, he's now on pace to be one of the nicest coffee shops in the state and I'll be back in the industry. Asked mom if could take a bus ride to meet my girlfriend who is several hours away from where I am. She said yes. TL. DR cute co-worker likes me back. We kissed yesterday. It was rad. Okay, so I work as a cashier at a grocery store. And well, I developed a crush on a fellow cashier. Me being shy and awkward, I wrote a poem about her and stashed it in my register. A few days later someone found it and everyone was wondering who it was about, and someone told me she, my crush, thought it was about her. I wrote a few more poems and eventually left a small bouquet of flowers at her register with a note written in a different handwriting from my own. She thought that was really sweet and was wondering who left it for her, and by the end of her shift I admitted it was me. After that I got her number. We slowly started texting, once every few days. Then every day, and I continued complimenting her and flirting, and then like a week ago she flirted back. Then a couple of days ago she admitted to thinking I'm cute and sweet. Yesterday we ended up in a secluded spot where the store cameras couldn't see and we kissed. It was an amazing kiss. So yeah. That day where I admitted it was me and that the poems were about her was the day I took a shot that's kinda working out well. Not sure if this counts, but here it is anyways. I was working a dead-end job at a hotel front desk after getting out of the Navy where I was a diesel mechanic. I got a phone call from a headhunter. I have never had good luck with headhunters, but I figured I would give it one more try. I had nothing to lose seeing as I already had a job, so I said fuck it and went along with the process. The job opening was literally my dream job, but I figured that I had no shot at it. I went through 3 phone interviews and 1 in-person interview. I had worked all night right before the in-person interview, so I went home and went to bed right afterwards. 2 hours later I got a phone call offering me the job at a higher salary than I initially asked for. I start tomorrow morning. Most recently I sent a picture of the cutest kitten I saw up for adoption, fully expecting him to say no way. Now I have a new little kitty baby. When my mom asks if I want any extra food to take home and I say no, I end up getting hungry soon after. Top 10 anime betrayals, you could say. I went on a date with a guy and at the end I kissed him. We continued dating and he later confessed that he felt like I had no interest in him, and also he was intimidated because he thinks I'm too attractive for him. and that had I not kissed him he'd have assumed I didn't want to see him again and would have ceased contact. We're in a relationship now, and I'm glad I took the chance of kissing him goodnight that day. Was at a neighbor's birthday party on Friday. There was a girl there. We talked a good chunk of the evening. Kept making eyes at each other when we weren't. And end of the party. We parted probably never to see each other again. As soon as she left I knew I fucked up by not asking her out or for her number. Finally decided to launch that YouTube channel about got law that I've been thinking about for years. Excited to provide content and I can't wait to see the results. When I was little I asked my parents to make a call to a TV station contest. The prize was 1 million. They didn't want to pay, since it was an expensive number. But neither did other people. No one called. No one got the prize and I never got to be a millionaire. Open bracket. Told a girl on Tinder I swiped right because of her selfie with a turtle. Will have been dating for 2 months in a few days. I'm self-employed. If I don't actually attempt to work, I can't make any money. Sometimes I do try and put in the hours and I still don't make any money, which can be discouraging, but I have to try in order to be successful. Was at the inspection for a house I'm buying. Found out there's no insulation on the attic. Tell me wife, realtor, and inspector. If we don't get insulation in the attic, our heating bill will go through the roof. Crickets. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, you totally not Dalton. There was somebody in my social circle who I had liked for a while, but I was under the impression she was lesbian, and I didn't want to come across as the guy who joins a social group because they are looking for sex love. Saw her on Tinder and super liked her. Been dating 6 months now. I hate approaching girls at clubs. Loud music. Plus I'm not tall, dark or handsome enough to pull it off most times. However, I saw a cute girl and her friend dancing at a club near the DJ booth. I was ready to go home but figured I'd ask the cute one to dance. We danced, talked, danced some more, then dated for a few years. All because I took my shot when I had the chance. I owned my own physical therapy practice for a number of years. I got to the point where I loved the management side of things, but there was too much. Especially since I have a young family and wanted a better balance. I joined a large system, 14 clinics across 2 states, as a staff therapist 10 months ago. 6 months into my new job, the operations manager for the entire system resigned. I thought I had a slim to no chance but applied anyway. Maybe it would be a good way of showing my interest in management. Long story short, my 3-month review is next week. Basically my career. I took a very niched finance job straight out of college not knowing anything about the field. It was a field centered around an obscure software product that other companies used. I just needed a job and gave it a shot. I ended up loving it and became an expert of the field. About a year and a half in, the obscure software got bought out by a major software player, which legitimized the product and created a huge demand for people like me. I was able to stay at the original job and negotiate a huge amount of money to stay put. I have my dream life job in my 20s, all because my mom showed me a job listing one day. We don't come from much, so it's very humbling. I will enjoy it as long as it lasts. Work at a grocery store while I attend school for EMT cert. I have good hours, super flexible, about 36 a week, which is perfect for me, but I need more money and can't take on a lot more hours, especially overtime, and I was due for a raise and decided out of the 5 jobs I've had where I just take what I get, I decided to ask my manager for a $2 raise on top of my $1 I was already getting, stating extra responsibility I had recently taken on. Manager haggled with me a bit but gave in and I now make $3 more. Definitely will help me pay down some of my debt. Just got out of a long-term relationship. Wasn't looking for anything for a while. Naturally, I met a girl while on vacation to California. We hit it off. I was about to leave, so we only had time for one date. It went amazingly well. I've wanted to see her again, but work is crazy. So I offered to fly her up to where I live. She's staying for about a week at my place and says it's the sweetest thing anyone has done for her. I've never done anything like this before. But I think there's a solid chance that this one works out. I've been planning to move back to California anyways. This might just accelerate those plans. I had a RLY shitty conversation with this Tinder girl that fizzled out within minutes. I left it, feeling there was nothing to do to salvage it. A few days go by and I'm in a daze one morning, having woken up and just feeling ballsy, so I just out of the blue, no relation to the previous subjects, ask if she wants to meet up and get trashed, and she agreed enthusiastically. Very fucking weird how that works. Applied to a job my friend is currently doing. A really chill environment compared to my current job. Nerf gunfights and low-key stuff without the actual death and car accidents that happen here. I'd been putting off applying, but things have gotten pretty bad at work. So I put in my application. Phone interview Tuesday. Wish me luck. Update. Phone interview was good. Got a second interview and it went pretty well. Last week my grocery store had a raffle for a free cheese plus a picnic basket. I was the only person who entered. Free cheese. People don't really need this stupid basket. But cheese. I'm in heaven. I am a stockier, bigger guy. And my preference in men is thinner guys. As such, I go through a lot of rejection. Everyone has a type. I get it. I was feeling really down after my ex and I broke up and was browsing Grindr. But before shutting it off was deciding if I wanted to try one more time and said fuck it. I started talking to this cute 18-year-old guy. I'm 25. Couple hours later he was over. And we spent almost that entire week together. Fast forward a year and a half and he is sleeping in my bed beside me. And lived with me the summer while he was home from school, and I have never been more in love. Apply for better jobs. Even if you think you're not qualified, there's still a chance you could get an interview and make a good impression. I was working a shit retail job a few years ago and a management position came up in a different company. I applied for it fully expecting not to get it. But I got an interview. I didn't get the job I applied for. But a different job was also available that the interviewer thought I might be a good fit for based on my past experience. I took the offer and now I have a much better job with much better hours. If you want to get nothing in return, you can like and join my Discord. There is a link in the description.